All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take a piece of basic white and I'm going to cut it down to 5.5 by 4 1/4. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because when I'm going to mount this on a cart, I can cut it down further if I want to. Like I can make the edges smaller and stuff like that. Oh, this is very shaky. Okay. So I'm going to try and use as many images as I can. And I've got all my blocks. Oh my goodness. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for the largest image that is in the set, and it's going to be this whale. And actually I'm going to start with him, and he's going to be in the center of my paper. So might have him off to the side. And I'm going to choose a color that I want to work with. Okay, I'm going to choose Starry Sky. I've got a bunch of different colors here, so I'm just going to use whatever I have. And one of the ideas for this is I'm going to ink it up. Oh, and he's kind of wobbly on there. And I'm going to go straight up and down. And what I'm going to do is when I lift this, right, I'm going to keep pounding around it so you can see some images around. Woo, it's very shaky. I got to fix that somehow. So you saw that. So that was the first stamp, and then you got consider around the edges like being stamped off. So it looks kind of blurry. That's what I want. I want that blurry image. Now, most of the time when we do this, we don't want those blurry images. And what we're trying to do is create something that has a little bit of interest to it. Now I'm going to move on to another color. I'm going to move on to the turtle. Same idea. Okay. Okay, I'm going to have to clean that. Oh, where's my cleaner? You can tell how much I love these guys. They're a little dirty. So let me clean this guy off first. I'm going to do the front and the back to clean it. And now he should stick there. Now he sticks. Okay. I'm going to take my turtle, ink him up in a different color. Same idea. I'm going to, the first stamped. Oh my goodness, it's like having a earthquake. You can't quite tell, but there's a little bit of green all the way around. And I'm going to keep doing that with the image. I'm going to put him up here. Let's see if I can do this without that. I really need to find something to hold this with. Hold on. Oh, it's very shaky. Should have thought about that. And again. And a little bit more. So the first image is very strong. I really want to. Okay. I'm going to move on to another image and a different color.
See ya.
The idea behind this, like I'm not really going to think too much about where I'm putting everything. Oh my goodness. I got to do something about this. You guys are going to get like bigger headaches. Okay. Right. So I don't know if you can start seeing there's a bit of shadow around each image that I'm making now. I'm actually going to go back to the whale.
It's very unique looking.
It is, and once you get it on a card, it actually looks very cool. Because usually when you stamp a second, third, fourth, fifth time, the ink kind of gets taken off of your stamp pad. And so I'm just going to keep going. Like I said, I'm just grabbing whatever color is around. I'm trying not to think too much about it, because sometimes you can get caught up with that a little bit too much. Okay. Let's keep going on different images. I got a little fish one here. And okay, they're going to be Orchid Oasis. How about that? The only thing I don't want to do is overlap them. Okay. These little fish, I can turn them upside down. And do I have another image left? Oh yeah, there are little bubbles here. Okay. And so I've worked from the largest image down to the smallest. And that's easier to do, so I can fill in between. So with the bubbles, I'm doing the same thing. That's it. So that's all the images. You can kind of see how they're blurring a little bit. So the color comes off a little bit. Now, I like this idea because you can grab anything, any color. And the idea is, even though it's got those other images, it's not supposed to be perfect at all. It's actually very cool looking when you end up putting it on a card. So then you would just cut it down to make a mat. I'm cutting it down to 4 by 5 1/4. And the focus itself would be the paper. Okay, then I could put a ribbon across. And it's actually a really interesting, it's a very interesting look. So if you're the type that needs to have a whale in one spot and another one in another spot, this is a good technique to try and to move out and say, okay, you know what? It's supposed to be a little blurry. Like the color is supposed to bleed a little bit. And that's okay. So I think that looks really cool. So the first card I did on this, oh, there we go. That's the first one I did. You can see some of the images are with the second, third, fourth generation of ink. Any questions? It looks really cool. You got to give it a try. You got to give it a try. And then you find out either that you like that kind of idea or not. So another one, what you can do is, has anybody ever made a full one sheet wonder by using
I've watched a video on the a one sheet wonder, but I've
Yeah.
never done one.
So what she has done is she gets a piece of 8.5 by 11. So I'm going to use, where is it? I'm going to use the seashells. Whoops. I'm going to use the seashells, and I'm actually going to try and use some of the whale done. I'm going to mix these in together. So what I'm going to try and do, you have to imagine your card. I'm actually going to use a pencil so you can see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this up. You have to imagine you've got your paper in quadrants. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to work along this line and this line, the vertical and the horizontal line. Now, the very first time I've ever done this, I was absolutely terrified. Again, I'm going to start with the largest image, which means I need to get my block. Has anybody done this type of card?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All right, let's see. Does that fit in? So I'm going to start with one of the largest images. And this one is the seashell here I'm going to start with. So if I was doing flowers, I would do the exact same thing. I would start with the largest image. Again, I'm going to choose a color, ink it up, and I'm going to, normally you wouldn't have the pencil marks along here. The very first time you do it, you may want to try that. And I'm just going to stamp along that pencil mark. And the idea is I'm going to turn the image as I stamp. So it's going to go across. It's going to kind of be on both sides as I make it. And I'm going along that line. And kind of filling it in. Okay. So when you make it, you're kind of going along in along those lines. Like I said, the very first time I did this, I had a very hard time because I was thinking, how's it going to turn out? It's not going to turn out the way I want. It's going to look awful. It's going to look, it's not going to look perfect. Once I started and I had completed it, it was actually a lot of fun. Getting over that fear was the biggest hurdle actually for me. So I'm going to go on to the next image. I'm going to choose one of these seashells.
So your fear was basically figuring it's not going to look very good, not going to turn out.
Yeah.
But isn't that every time you start a new card?
Exactly. It is. It's true. And that's why I love this technique, because it makes you get out of that fear. Because you need to embrace it. So that's why that person that you watch the video on, she's really good at it, because this is what she does all the time. So I'm just choosing another seashell, and I'm going to try and fit it in so it clears the other image. I don't want it to go across too much on each image. I don't want it like to sit on top. So I'm going to try and go in some of the spots around it. Oh, look, that fits right in between there. And you can see I'm straddling that pencil mark. See, and I didn't even think about too much what the color was. Okay, I'm just going to keep going. And I'll do a little bit more. You see, now you can see it's starting to come together along those two axes. Okay, I'm going to move on to another color and another seashell, which is a little smaller. And by this point, I would start to get worried. By this point, I'm going, oh my goodness, it looks awful. Okay, let's try something else. Let's go with early espresso. I don't know if this is the right color. Let's try it off. Yeah, I think I need to ink that up a little bit more. Okay, how about soft sea foam? Okay. If you really want to get out of your comfort zone, trying one of these cards is definitely the way to do it. Most of the time, I've seen this created with flowers and leaves. I've never seen one created actually with seashells. So I'm going to go, I'm going still along that line. I'm working my way out from each portion. Okay, I guess I can stick one more in here. Right. You have to believe that when you're making this, that it will turn out really, really nice. It does. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going into another image. Just make sure it fits on the block. I'm going with crumb cake. Fill that in a little bit. As you get the lighter colors, you can start going over the darker ones because they'll fit right in. It'll kind of go over with its color. Okay. What else have we got here? And I'm going to move into the very small, I got little seashells. And let's go with, I got some yellow. Let's have little yellow seashells. And those will fill in. See, this is the point where I'm going, oh my goodness, I don't think that's going to turn out. So turn it around. Filling in those spaces. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to add into this is some seaweed. See, now I'm going to start filling in the seaweed. And this is how you would do it with, even if these were flowers, you would do the same idea. So I'm going to take the green now, I'm going to fill in the spots. And you just keep going all the way around. You may think that it looks a little busy or you've added too much. And when you start cutting this apart, you're going to find that you really didn't. Always move your stamp around so it gives a different type image, so it's not always the same way. As I'm going in, I'm trying to get into the darker color, so it kind of hides some of that. Let's see, where else? Where else do you think I should put it? There we go. You really got to try this design. It is actually a lot of fun.
You need one right in the center between the one, I can't remember what color it was. The one laying straight, right and left down. No, in the middle, over to your right, down, yeah.
Right
Like
here?
down a bit, yeah, right in that blank spot down there. Oh, I was thinking below that, where the round one is.
There we go. We'll keep going.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
And you could, so you can see as this, it looks full, but when you start cutting it apart, it's not going to be. All right, the last thing I'm going to do is, in a lot of the stamp sets, they add those little dotty things. I have no idea what you're supposed to call these little dot things. Always try and add some with a crumb cake. It always looks so cool. So I'm going to add some in some of that white space.
Well, with seashells, I would expect it to be like bubbles in the water, you know.
Oh yeah, in the whale done, they have bubbles. This I think is supposed to be sand in this one.
Oh, okay.
Now you may think I don't know if you're like me, what before I started doing this, it was like, this is not the way it's supposed to look. It's not perfect. It's too messy, too many colors, too many things going on. And a little bit here, a little bit here, right there, over there. There we go. So now you can see the paper is almost fully covered as I worked out from those lines. So you can still see the line. Now this is where the fun part comes in. What you're going to do, you could actually leave those lines, because what you're going to do is you're going to cut them down to 5 1/4 by 4. And this is making your own designer series paper. Okay. Put it right there. Cut a little bit off on that side. All right. Now that we've got them all cut down, look what happens when I add it to a card base. So it really starts adding on. And you can see kind of where that square was. You're just making your own designer series paper. And you can start getting an idea. The idea is it's not supposed to be uniform. It is actually a very freeing kind of exercise to try. It's very, very fun. Like I said, the very first one, you may be terrified, like putting down the very first time, but it's one very fun to do. And you have to let yourself know that it'll look really, really nice when it's done. So,
The
so
ones
that's,
with, the
it's,
ones with the more weight on it, blank, they can go inside a
they
card
could,
and use that space to sign your name.
yes, like this one.
Yeah,
So, but this is actually a lot of fun. This is actually one of my favorite activities. And I know that lady you're talking about, and she's the one that got me started on it.
Mm.
She is phenomenal. I love her.
really
And
looks good.
so,
And I agree. It was sort of like, what are you doing? But it turns out great.
yeah, you really have to give it a try. And it ends up to becoming, that I can't remember her name, but she adds in different stamp sets. She'll use like 3 or 4 different stamp sets all together.
Mhm.
So that works really, really good. The next one, what we're going to do is we're going to use some designer series paper. And what I'm going to do, this one works best if you can find a variety of colors, or that has like, when you look at them, you can definitely see a color in it. So for this exercise, I'm going to use these kind of, these are the in colors, and you don't need very much paper. So I'm going to pull one of each color. Okay. And let's try this one. You'll notice there are also different patterns, so I'll pull different patterns. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you want to work with something that looks like a rainbow of colors that you can eventually see all together. What you're going to do is you're just going to rip it. Just going to keep ripping. And I'm going to rip these into little piles. Normally we cut them, right? So you're probably sitting there going, what the heck is she doing?
Well, actually, I did raise my eyebrows when you did that, thinking, uh-oh.
Okay, so taking them and I'm just ripping them into squares. Doesn't matter what size they are, what shape they are, as long as you can rip them. Big pieces, small pieces, doesn't matter. And you need to do that for all of the colors. So if you're using a designer series paper that you can kind of see or make out certain like predominant colors, that works better. You need something where you can definitely kind of rip them apart and say, okay, these are all the green, these are all like red, or okay. You will also need a piece of photocopy paper or scrap paper to do this work on. This is the longest part. Okay, just ripping that up. And one more color to go. I'm trying to find my work sample copy, but I can't find it. When you get a piece of copy paper, you want it to be at least 5.5 by 4 1/4 1/4. So I'm actually gonna use this grid paper. Now I'm gonna cut it to the size of a card front, or maybe even a little larger. So it's just over 5.5, because we will be cutting this down. Okay. Got my papers. This is going to use a bit of glue. And all I'm going to do, oh, this is the one. Doesn't not like me. I'm going to add glue to the whole card front. I'm actually going to start a little bit at a time. So let's keep going. You might have to add it as we get to the very edges. And this is getting really sticky. Okay. What we're just going to do is I'm going to take a piece and I'm going to overlap on the edge. I'm taking my piece and I'm just going to glue it down. And I'm going to do that for about 2 rows. Okay. There's a piece there. Maybe I'll rip a piece off and tuck it underneath. So I got all the little pieces put on. I'm going to move on to the next color. I'm going to overlap it a little bit. I want to use big pieces and small pieces. The good thing about this one type of paper is both sides have different patterns on it. So I'm just going to keep flipping them over and adding them on. And you want to see those little, sometimes those little pieces of white from the rip paper. Now this is definitely not perfect at all. Oh, maybe not that one. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that all the way down the card, changing the color. So I'm going to make like 2 rows and overlapping it so that there is no, you can't see that piece of white underneath. Again, different sizes. Now there's a little piece of white there. I'll just add a little bit of glue to the one piece I'm using. Kind of cover that up a bit. And you have to remember, this card that we're making, it is not supposed to be perfect. Okay, let's go on to another color. Remember, flip it over to get different designs. That's why you need the glue all the way to the edge, is so that you can go further over. Making smaller pieces, larger pieces. It's like doing a jigsaw puzzle. Okay, I'm going to go the next color, working my way across, making sure that the little areas of white are covered. Okay, I kind of got like 2 rows, and because I've started with the colors, I'm going to start again with the first color. So I'm going to go back and use that first color. See, I need more glue on the bottom, the edge there. And we're almost done. There we go. Now it's completely covered, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. Let me move these pieces out. And remember, it was a little larger than the normal card size. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this completely down now. So I'm going to put it in, and I need to make at least one straight edge to start working with. So I'm going to cut, now I'm going to start working and cutting it down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I'm going to use that first edge that we've done. Go around. Now I can go to 5. There we go, 5 1/4. Now I'm going to make it to 4 inches. So I've cut all the excess away. Sometimes you may find that a piece didn't glue down properly. You just can add another one and just glue it on. And now, depending on what you have, you can add a sentiment. Excuse me. So I would add something like this and maybe put some ribbon on. Oops, there we go. Or some ribbon. Find the right labels I want to use. I actually like this one better. And I'm going to grab a ribbon for that. And I'm going to use Stamp a Sentiment and Starry Sky. Okay. That's crooked. So we're going to put it on our card crooked. And actually, let's get a couple of ribbons because we've got different colors there. Let's use 3 different colors ribbons. pull that together. Did we get all three? There we go. There we go. Add some dimensionals. Now, these styles may not be what you normally do, but it's kind of interesting to try it.
That turned out so pretty.
It actually ends up, here we go. I'm just going to use the black. Oh, that's why I couldn't find it. So I'm just going to use the blue, or I would actually do it with green or something. So this was my original card. I did this with the Lovely and Lasting, the Lovely and Linen. And I put a big ribbon. You can always, on this one, I put a very wide piece of DSP across. But I think it still turned out okay. I actually like this one. I like the colors of this one better.
Now, the first one you didn't put them in stripes, right?
They are, but because there's pattern to it, you can see that
Oh,
there's a line of blue, there's a line of red, a line of green, a line of pale papaya, and then I repeated. You can really see it with this one because of the ink colors,
yeah.
but I did it with this one too.
Oh, okay. That looks more like just randomly picked up.
It does, yeah. And
Yeah.
that's why I think I added this, but this turned out much nicer because you can definitely see the colors on that.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is definitely not a perfect card for you. Okay.
I like it.
Now I can show you another one. And this one, so there's this one, what we can do. Oh, it's upside down. It's like a brick wall. And what you have to do is you cut these in strips. So these are certain sizes and you cut them in strips and lay them down. And you just keep grabbing whatever paper as long as it's not the same one beside each other. There's also one where you can, I've shown you with punches. You turn it over, you work on the scrap paper, and you just keep adding the punches, the paper, on top of each other. There's also, I can always show you more. And this is the one just with squares. I've kind of butted them up against each other. So it's your choice which one I show you next. Which one do you have questions on how to make?
Well, I saw the ones with the punches. You demonstrated that. I don't remember where or what.
Yeah. Okay.
Then how about the rectangles? The one with the dark ribbon on it.
Okay, this one. All right.
What about everybody else? Yeah, that one, sorry.
Okay. That's fine. So I'm just going to grab whatever designer series paper I have. So I'm just going to grab something. All right. You know what I got? I got these. These are the, what is that new, that paper that's free.
Oh, right.
So I'm just going to choose, I'm going to keep that large one. We'll take the purple, we'll take the green. We're going to use some of what's on the back. Trying to just find, oh, those little ones are cute too.
Might be too much white on that, the little flowers, but I don't know.
Can always find out.
Yeah,
Well, what other, I think this was too dark.
well,
Well, what do you think? What colors would you like?
go with that.
With that? Okay,
Oh, wait a sec, you got a pink there. That's
there's a
pretty.
pink.
How many did you use? 5?
I want to use it kind of 4. You want the white one in there?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Oh, we'll do all 5. We'll do these.
Well, yeah, because I was thinking the dark, the white might be too whitish compared to the other 3 because they're light, whereas the dark might make a nice contrast with the other 3 light ones.
It would, yeah, that's a great idea. So what we're going to do is first stop shaking. I got to fix this by the time we get to the next one. I just see somebody chatted. Okay. What we're going to do, take a look to see which way the images are. We don't want them sideways or upside down. So we're going to take a look and make sure they're all going the same way. Somebody pointed out these yellow ones are all the only ones that are upside down in this paper.
Oh, yeah.
So
Maybe they're supposed to be.
it's possible. So what we're going to do, first of all, watch which way it goes. So, okay. And what I want to do now is I'm going to cut them. I don't need the whole sheet, but I'm going to cut them. And I'm going to make them 1/2 inch. So I'm going to cut it at 1/2 inch. And let's do, like you've noticed, I've just cut these all at the same time.
Yeah, I noticed that.
You can cut with the Stampin' Up! Trimmer, you can cut up to 6 DSPs at once.
How many?
6.
Oh, okay.
Cardstock, you can only do 3, 2 or 3. Okay. All right. So I have this strips. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them to different lengths. I'm going to cut some to 1 inch, some to 1.5. There we go. You don't need a whole bunch. Definitely fix this by the time next time. So the largest I'm going to make it is 1 3/4. So they're going to be different sizes. I'm going to start with just that for now. Okay. Oops. And I need a piece of white. So I'm going to make that regular size card and then we can cut it down. All right. So I've got all my pieces here. I don't even remember what side I'm using anymore.
No.
And what I'm going to do,
Flowers.
you can either use the liquid glue or the seal. No, obviously not that one. I'm going to put some glue on and I'm going to start with the very first one and I'm going to put it up in the corner. I'm starting in the corner so it's flush with the corner. So it's flush on the top and the side. I'm going to go to the next flower or the next image. or piece. Watch which way it goes. Add my glue and leave a very small space as if I'm bricking a house. And when you look at the bricks, there's always a little space for mortar in between. And that's what I'm looking for. And I'm going to follow it along the top, butting it up along the edge so it's flush. And that's going to help me keep track. I'm going to go over so it comes off to the side, so it comes off the paper. And the next one I'm going to add is I'm going to leave about the same amount of space on the top and bottom. And actually, I'm going to use a piece of that I've cut as a guide. When I put these pieces together, just like I did with the punch, I don't want any of the pieces that are the same beside each other. So I don't want to put these two green ones beside each other. I can do that one. That'll look fine on that side, but I don't want it on the top, bottom, or side. Remember, leave a little space. Try and keep it as even as possible. There we go. See, this one's a little high. Yeah. There we go. And I'm going to keep working that over. And have I got a little piece with a little bit of, oh, that was pink on that side. Oh, that's very pretty. Let's do pink. And again, all the way down. You have to imagine you're bricking a house. That's a little tight together, but that's okay. The idea behind this about not being perfect, the lines need to be correct, but the pattern itself does not really matter. And if you do a big boo-boo somewhere, that's exactly where you're going to put your sentiment. There, you can start to see it come together.
Yeah.
And let's do pink on the other side. Now, if your colors are getting a little heavy, then start getting into some of the white pieces that you have. Like with both sides, you have such a wide variety that you can choose from. So you'll notice that they're starting to look, they're all staggered like the bricks on your house. We're getting there. Now, as we come to the end, what we're going to end up doing is we will be cutting this down to the proper size of 4 inches by 5 1/4. Oh, geez. Put it over there. I'm just trying to find some that are not the same. You'll notice I only used that one strip too. There we go. All right. And now we cut it down. I'm going to use the one side as my guide. I'm going to cut it down to 4 inches by 5 1/4. Oh, these little ones on the bottom are too tiny, so I'll just pull those off. They're just too tiny. There. And if I use, oh, let's use a yellow. So there. Then you would just add a ribbon and again a ribbon and a sentiment. You might want
It looks so easy.
It is that, you know what? You try it a few times and there we go. I think this needs a little bit of like another, it needs a frame around it because it kind of gets lost.
Inking around the edge or something.
Yeah. But there are different ways to create the cards with the different ideas. Like if they don't have to be perfect. Now I've lost all my cards. They don't have to be perfect at all. This one's the same idea. I just took little scraps and I butted them up against each other. Yeah. I started with a piece of scrap paper to work on. And then you just cut it down. So you, like this one, I just added a ribbon, the darkest ribbon. That's what I would do here is a dark ribbon or something like that. And this one's kind of got 2 mats on it. Oh yes, and then we got this one with the ripping. The idea is we want to show off the ripped edges for that, because they're not, you don't want these to be perfectly lined up. This one you would need to have lined up as best as you can. And then you can also use, like here, there's used cardstock instead of ribbon to go across. And are any of you done this quilting pattern type?
No, it looks very similar, except you just go in the different directions.
Yeah, so it is very similar. This one, I'll show you this one.
Okay.
Okay, again, we're going to use a piece of scrap paper. That's going to be our base. Okay, just going to bring this one off to the side. I'm going to make it a little larger than the card itself. So yeah, there we go. 1 by 4. Let's use this paper again. I'm going to use 1.5, sorry, 1/2 inch. So I'm going to cut another bunch of 1/2 inch. Oops. Oh, I lost my stamps. Okay. Now, same like the other one, what I want to do though is I want to start in the middle with a piece that is, you'll notice I've worked around a square. So I'm going to grab something. This one is like a square shape. Just want to use it as, just use that one. Let's see, unless I got a smaller one. I'm trying to find the right color.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to find the right color for that. Looks like I can't find it, but I'll use a smaller one. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue this down. Now, I would normally use the correct color that I would be matting this with. So on this one, you'll see that there's a little square that is the dark green, same like the card base.
Okay.
So imagine this is the same color. What I'll do later is just kind of cover this over. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to add some adhesive to the paper. All the way around, little square. Remember to get to the edges. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with one piece. Let's start with this. And I'm going to go along the edge. I'm not going to go all the way down, but I'm going to go a little bit halfway. Okay, and what I'm going to do is start building out from this piece. Just need another piece. Going to make a 90-degree angle. Okay, so I got one, there's my 90-degree, and I'm going to start working in, laying it butt up against each other. There we go. And I don't want too many strong patterns to stick out. So I'm going to have some of the more, I'm going to use the back side of some of these that are a little bit more gentle DSP, so to speak. Okay. So I've done the 90-degree there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And I'm going to repeat the pattern. So the pattern repeats. I'm going to see it there. So this is the dark color. I'm going to use the green for the next. The next one is the purple. And then that pattern one. Okay. And I can start, let's do a, yellow's a little strong. Oh, maybe we'll just do that one again. I want to incorporate some of that pink in there. So let's get a little bit of that pink. So I'm going to pull that out. I'm trying to find that other color. So green. And the purple. So to have the purple, we'll go with this one. Little bit of pink. Got a little bit of glue on there. So you're working around this center square. I'm looking for that green. I wanted to use some of that green in there. You're just going to work your way out. Okay. Now, again, what we need to do is we need to cut this off. Remember, it was a little larger than it should be. So I'm going to cut that excess off and start cutting it down. So there. Now, because I had the square on the front, I wanted to flip it over now and try and make it as even as I can. Oops, sorry. Now this little green on the inside will definitely stand out. I'll change this to another color. I'll probably use a different color in there. And maybe I'll make that into white. But I'll put a little something else over that. And then you would just mount it on a card base like that. One of the most important things is to make sure you have straight corners. So where you're laying it down is straight, not angled. So not that you have too much of an angle like that, unless that's the way the pattern that you want to work it. Then all your angles should be the same. 90 degrees is much easier to deal with. So what do you think? Those are definitely not perfect cards, I gotta tell you. Where's my whale? There.
They're imperfectly perfect.
They are. They really are, because oh, now where's the ones with all the 4? Oh, I lost them all. Oh, here we go. This one. So should give them a try. Oh, without the shaking of the camera. Give them a try. They really are quite interesting, because each one has something different to learn from about being imperfect. So this one is you're learning to embrace the little edges all the way around. The colors work really great. This one, I just used a piece of paper and used little squares and just butt them up against each other. This one is just, you know, glued down. And this one is just using the stamps on the full sheet. Like you could have just totally covered that with all seashells or flowers or something. But this one, I gotta tell you, is the most fun. You gotta try that. This is the most fun. I love this one the best.